Good evening, my beautiful subscribers. Hey, it's your main man, Drew here. Finally coming back after a long stint of not being here and not being able to post anything. I know I've been kind of AWOL lately, but it's not because I haven't had anything to talk about. I've had plenty to talk about. I've just been so freaking busy right now with work and relationships and my kid and our dog and everything going on. Natural, physical, spiritual, mental, emotional, a lot of different things have been going on. But one thing that I really have been focused on a lot lately, have been thinking about, been discussing it with my wife for a long time now, and it's a very controversial topic. Not for any other person outside of myself would it be controversial for. So I just need to put that little disclaimer out there. But with that being said, I believe this is going to be a 2-part video. It's going to be kind of long, not super long, but kind of long, because I need to get the points across, and then in the next video kind of go into more detail about each point. And the point that I'm making right now is that I do not have, and it's very unfortunate, but I do not have the greatest relationship with my mother. I just don't. She's a very narcissistic woman. She had a lot of control over me, way past the point that she should have had control over me, like even well into my adult years. Young adult years, but adult years nevertheless. And with that being said, I'm going to jump right in the different reasons and points that I do not like my mother. And it's not an exact, concise list, and I know there's many other things that I could add to this, but this is just from what my wife and I have been discussing lately. And there's several points here that I'm going to go over in this first video, and then going to go into detail about each point in the next video. So that we're not sitting here for 2 hours trying to explain everything. No. Nobody's got time for that. Nobody. Even us YouTubers. And I love YouTube. I love watching YouTube videos, especially long ones. But we all have lives as well. So let me get right into it. One of the first points that my wife and I were discussing here lately was that my mother, I mentioned that she was very controlling even well into my early adult life. And this first point that I'm going to make goes right back to that and kind of bounces off that statement. And it was that my wife and I were discussing this. very, very recently. But my mother was making me ask permission to do anything as an adult. No, that ain't right. That ain't right. And I should have stood my ground, but I'm such a laid back person that I wasn't used to being able to stand my ground and actually say, no, I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to ask permission to go see a movie. I'm not going to ask permission to go to the mall. I'm not going to ask permission to go to the grocery store to get the food that I need. I'm not going to ask permission for what job I'm allowed to have. No. But see, I was under these delusions that even as an 18, 19, 20, 21, and 22-year-old adult man, I still felt the need to ask mommy and daddy at times, but mainly mommy, permission to do anything. But I was under that delusion because I was under her control, her narcissistic control. But anyway, moving on to the next point. That she also, again, speaking about my mother, of course, that she also used religion as a way to control my life, because she's a narcissist, like I had said before. She is. The evidence is there, the proof is there. The things she did proves that she was, and I'll have to get into that in another video, obviously, because we obviously don't have all the time in the world here tonight, and I may not be able to even get through all these points. I'm going to try. I am going to certainly try. But, moving on, that she was and still is a narcissist, and that she couldn't comprehend what I did, especially as an adult, mind you, had no bad reflection on my mother for anything, good or bad. It didn't matter what I did. It didn't reflect bad on her. It didn't reflect bad on the way I was raised and everything. Once I became an adult, I was accountable for my own actions. I was no longer under the accountability of my parents. Period. That's it. That's it. But moving on. So anything that she considered a quote-unquote sin for me to be doing, I had to just stop it immediately, because she could not let go of any control of me, of myself. Myself and my older sister were basically her servants. We had to do everything for her. But that was my second point. My third point, I need to keep moving on with this. This is actually getting into when I was even dating my wife. Right now, we were still dating at the time, at this next point. And she was even wanting to control the way I proposed to my soon-to-be wife, to be engaged, to be married. And mind you, at the time, I was 22 years old, and my soon-to-be wife was still 22, but almost 23 years old. So we were both old enough to make that decision on our own. We didn't need mommy to make that decision for us, or me specifically. And she had my mind warped so much to think this shit was normal. To have my mother dictate and determine how I was going to propose and how I was going to be engaged to my wife, ultimately. And she was even going to determine what type of rings I was going to have, what time of the year, what time of the month, whatever. She was going to lay out all of those little details, but it was her way. Not my way, not my soon-to-be wife's way, her way. But moving on. And this next point here is really what grinds my gears the most about my mother. Truly. And it'll grind anyone's gears, any normal thinking, logically thinking adult human being. That would make anyone get heated. Once again, let me get to the point. She would rather not have a relationship with her one and only, so far, one and only beautiful, precious granddaughter, my beautiful daughter. She would rather not have a relationship with her than admit fault of any kind. Any kind. She never admits faults for anything. And when she apologizes, if you can even call it that, she apologizes and says stuff like, I'm sorry you, or I'm sorry but, or I'm sorry you did this, or I'm sorry you took this the wrong way. I'm sorry, but I call that bullshit a bad mom's apology. Because that's what it is. It's a bad mom's apology. And it's bullshit. It's bullshit. Straight up. Straight up. But the part that really... I could care less whether she's ever going to admit to faults. Nobody actually wants to admit to faults. Fine, whatever. I don't even want to admit to faults, but I even do. Especially with my wife, my daughter, my in-laws, and people that I'm close to. But what really, 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 truly gets my gears grinding, gets me heated, gets me upset, gets me pissed off, is that she wants nothing to do, physically to do, with her one and only beautiful, precious, wonderful granddaughter. That would piss off anyone. And she wonders why I don't want to have a relationship with her. Well, that should be the number one red flag right there. Once again, moving on. She would also, once again, air quotes, or quote, forget, end quote, the terrible, inappropriate things that she would say to me and my wife, mind you, every time we brought it up to her that it bothered us and made us upset and made us pissed off. and mad and whatever. But she wouldn't ever admit to it. Like going back to the previous point, she would never admit her faults. And she would either purposely forget or whatever, forget that she said inappropriate things, did inappropriate things. One inappropriate thing that she even said, I wasn't going to say this at first, but I'm like, well, I might as well. One of the first moments that my soon-to-be wife, at the time we were just boyfriend and girlfriend, but we were in a serious relationship to eventually get married. And one of the very first things that my mother, whom we're talking about tonight here, one of the first things that she said to my girlfriend at the time that we were going to be engaged and be married, mind you, my wife is, like myself, brunette, brown eyes, so keep that in mind. My mother straight up said to her face, I always pictured my son, me, of course, being with a blonde-haired, blue-eyed gal. And to this day, my mother still wonders why her and my wife cannot get along. Because literally from day one, she never approved of her being with me. Period. There's no getting around that. No. Not at all. And I know I should have shut that shit down right then and there. I should have. But at the time, I felt like I had my hands tied because we were not married. We were just boyfriend and girlfriend at the time. But we were boyfriend and girlfriend with the intention of getting engaged and getting married. Like, in a serious, full-on relationship. And like I said, to this day, she still wonders why we don't have the greatest relationship, especially her and my wife. Anyway, moving on to the next point. I got a few more points here. She also, now this might just be a generational thing. My mother, talking about my mother. My mother is from the baby boomer generation. So a lot of those people from that generation tended to sweep things under the rug. And, they'd sweep things under the rug and then be like, see, no problem, no issues, nothing to see here, move on. Because if everything's swept under the rug, you don't have to deal with it. Out of sight, out of mind. Out of sight, out of mind. Period. That was their generation. That's not my generation. That was my parents' generation. She wanted to sweep everything under the rug instead of deal with it and never admit to any wrongdoing. Even though she's not this perfect angel like she thinks she is. God, no, she's not. I know she's not. I used to live with her for over 22 years. God help me all. God help all of me. Oh, God, I know I gotta get over this. I gotta overcome this somehow. But anyway, moving on. And this kind of goes back to when I was mentioning the things about apologies. It's kind of reiterating it a little bit. She would, going back to the bullshit bad mom apologies. That's what I'm gonna call it. That's what I'm going to call it, because that's what it is. She would say, I'm sorry you took what I said wrong. Shifting apologies and the blame back on the person, even when it's clearly not a real, genuine apology. It's a fake apology. It's a bullshit, bad mother's apology. Period. And one last point for this video. I don't want to stay on here too much longer, but it has been a while. So I'm gonna take a few more minutes here, actually, if at all possible. And she even took it a step farther with my wife, even insulting the way she was raised, and claiming that I was raised so much better than her. And that she literally used these words, you, meaning me, Drew Beamy, was raised better. She used those exact words, you were raised better. You knew better. I don't get it. I truly do not get it. And like I said, you would be insulting the way my wife was raised because she didn't agree with her on every little thing. And that because I was raised better. Major freaking eye roll. And one of the most asshole-ish things anyone can do. And extremely self-righteous. Oh my God. And those are seriously just a few points here that my wife and I have been discussing just right off the top of our heads. There was 8 different points total. 8 points total that I discussed here tonight. And that's just the tip of the iceberg. Just the tip of the iceberg. We got a lot more to get into. And like I said, these are the main points. And then I was going to go into a little bit more detail in the next video. Probably at least over the next week or so, or a couple weeks, whenever I can post it. But like I said, I just wanted to start getting that out there and kind of getting that stuff off my chest, and stuff that's, like I said, really been in and around my brain and in my wife's brain. We've been discussing it a lot lately. And my generation, our generation, we believe the more you talk about it, the more you get it out there, you can actually get to the root of the problem, the root cause of whatever this narcissism is, or wherever it came from. Whether it's inherent, or whether it was learned, or whether it came from the generations, I don't know. But like I said, if you're just sweeping everything under the rug like my parents typically do, but more specifically my mother, since these videos are going to be about her. With that being said, every word that I've said is true. It's the truth. I swear on a stack of Bibles, it's the truth. I can't just not speak the truth. I can't just not speak the truth. But if you put it out there, like I was trying to mention there a couple minutes ago, you can, like I said, get to that root of the problem and be able to take care of the problem, take care of the issue. Because if you don't talk about it, then you don't even realize, you're not even realizing you have a problem. Because if you don't mention it, you don't get it out there. That's why AA meetings are so important for alcoholics and other addictions that people deal with on a daily basis. And addictions are real. They are completely real. But you have to admit you have a problem first before you can even get to a solution. And if you don't want to get to that point where you're actually admitting you have a problem, or I'm admitting I have a problem, then the problem's never, ever, ever going to get taken care of. Never. And anytime I've tried to bring these points up with my parents, more specifically my mother, she just shuts down, says it never happened, and once again just brushes it under the rug. Nothing to see here, no problems, no issues. Move on. Move on. Well, that's why I'm using this platform that I'm a part of now to be able to put these points out there. Get this information out there. Get these truths out there. Because she sure as hell ain't gonna do it. And if she ain't gonna do it, then I will. And dare I say it, I'm gonna be the bigger person for it. Bigger person for it. I didn't mean for this video to be so freaking negative. But unfortunately, this is a very negative topic. But parental narcissism is also very, very real as well. Very real. And people that deny that are wrong and false when it comes to those issues. But with that being said, I want to still kind of wrap this specific video up in a little tiny bow, and still gonna bring it back to those positive, upbeat, encouraging points that I want to get to in every single video. I never want to leave you guys with bad vibes or negative thoughts or anything. I always want to leave off every video with peace and harmony and tranquility and just being uplifted, being engaging, encouraging, and to give people that extra push that they need to realize their true potential. And that, once again, to reference another one of my own videos, the sky is literally the limit. No one is holding you back but yourself. I need to hear these words too. Not just everybody else. I'm talking to myself as much as I'm talking to all of you subscribers. My beautiful, beautiful, wonderful subscribers, by the way. Beautiful, beautiful. But with that being said, I want to uplift everyone. Never tear down anyone. Never tear down it. Always uplift. Always lift up and encourage and strengthen everyone. And I love everyone. I appreciate everyone. There's not a single person on this planet that I do not love and appreciate. Not a single one. Maybe save my mother. But I even love her too. I even love her too. At the end of the day, I still love my mother. I still love my father. Still love my side of the family. But you can love people and still keep them at arm's length because you have to. Because you have to. But stay encouraged. Encourage yourself. Encourage yourself if you need to. I'm here. I'm praying for you. I love you. I appreciate every single person that's on this platform, that's joining me, that's joining this fight, this good fight of faith. This good fight against the enemies of our souls and the enemies of this great nation of ours and the enemies of all good people and good Christian people as well. And with that being said, God bless every one of you. I love you. I appreciate you. And don't forget to hit that thumbs up button. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel so that we can expand, make it bigger, make it stronger, and we can come back swinging. We can come back swinging for those fences, hitting those grand slams, hitting those triples, hitting those doubles, hitting those singles, to use some baseball references. I love baseball, by the way. Love baseball. It's the American pastime, after all. But with that being said, this will be the last thing. Whatever you do, do it for the glory of God. Do it for the glory of God. You have to do what's right in yourself as well. But choose God. Choose God. You don't have to. But I love everybody. I appreciate you. And thank you from the bottom of my heart for giving me this opportunity, giving me this platform that I can be able to get these ideas out there, get this information out there, put some comments in the comment section. I love feedback, positive, negative, in the middle, in between, whatever. I love all feedback, period. Like I said, I love you. Bye, everybody. Bye.